what's happening in Washington, D.C. And I think too often, and I'm not going to say they're doing it on purpose, I think too often the media gets it wrong on what's happening in Washington, D.C. So let's cut to it. What they're saying is, here's what they're saying. The media is arguing that the whole thing that's going on in Washington, they're fighting over how much to cut, or how much to cut, or where to cut. That's not really what the argument is about. The argument is much deeper than that. The argument is about what kind of country we want to have moving forward. Now, before we talk about what kind of country we want moving forward, let's stop for a moment and understand what kind of country we have. Because for 100 years, the United States of America has built, for the last century, let's talk about for the last century. For the last century, the men and women of this, actually, that's the first heckler I've ever had, so congratulations, thank you. Don't worry, guys. I can talk louder than he can. I got a microphone, so. We have been the single greatest nation in all of human history for the last 100 years. And let me tell you, I do know that we've been great. God bless you. God bless you. What makes America great is not our politicians. What has made America greater are our people. I'm talking to myself. Of people that have built in this nation the single greatest society in all of human history. But that has never been automatic. In fact, every generation of Americans, you, your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, they had to work hard to achieve that. And they had to work hard to achieve that in every generation. Every American generation's had challenges. And every single one's confronted those challenges and solved those challenges. And by the way, the solutions were never easy. They had to make difficult decisions and sacrifices in their personal lives and in our collective lives as a nation. And we are once again at that point. And the argument in Washington, D.C. is between two very different and competing visions of America's next 100 years. Now, the President of the United States the other day read a speech from a teleprompter talking about the future of our country and the debt. And here's what he basically said. He basically said that in order that America's future is dependent on how great its government is. He basically said, look, we need all these things from government. We're running out of money to pay for it. And so it's his job to go around and decide who makes too much money so he can take it from them and use it to pay for this bigger government and more government involvement in our economies and in our lives and in our country. That's basically what his speech was about. Let me tell you what happens if we go down that road. It's not personal. This is not personal. I've only talked to the president for 30 seconds in my whole life when he called me after we won the election. I actually thought it was a crank call for the first 15 seconds. But it was really him. Nothing personal. There's nothing personal here. But his agenda and the road he wants to take us on is a road we can't afford to go down. Let me explain to you what that road looks like. For America's future is one where our country's government becomes more and more involved in every aspect of our lives and of our economy. It's a government that will go around requiring that the menus at restaurants tell you how much fat you're eating. It's a government that goes around basically deciding that it has to solve every problem in your life by taking money out of your pocket to spend it on your behalf. It's a road that ultimately will diminish our nation and its standing in the world. Countries like that, where the government is the dominant institution in life, and in that nation, is commonplace. You can find countries like that all over the world. You know how we know that? You know how we know that there are countries all over the world where the government dominates everyday life? Because people can't wait to get out of those countries and come here.